deepest parts of the ocean are home to a variety of spooky and mysterious entities. Many creatures dwelling in the deep gloom have bizarre appearances, and these are just the ones we know about. There are still many secrets hidden in the deep ocean, waiting to be uncovered. Join us as we dive deep into the Mariana Trench to explore 20 of the scariest things found there. Number 20. The USS Johnston. This is the world's deepest shipwreck. The USS Johnston was engaged in a massive naval battle in a gulf in the Philippine Sea in October of 1944. 300 United States warships fought 70 Japanese vessels, and there were 1,500 aircraft involved. As I said, this was quite the massive battle. Nearly 30 of the Japanese ships were sunk during the fight, and most of the others were so damaged that they were out of commission. That included the biggest battleship that had ever been built, the Yamato. There were several U.S. ships sunk during the fierce fighting, and one of those was the destroyer USS Johnston. It had been hit with shells from the Yamato but managed to battle on further for another 2 hours before the ship finally sank beneath the waves, taking the lives of 186 of its 327 crew. That was the last time the ship was seen for the next 75 years. The island they were fighting close to in the Philippines was called Samar. This island was positioned along a huge marine canyon called the Philippine Trench, and it is extremely deep indeed. Just to illustrate exactly how deep, if you were to put Mount Everest beneath the surface at its deepest point, the summit of the mountain would still be a full mile beneath that surface. The trench is up to 6.2 miles deep, and the Titanic, for comparison, is about 2 miles down. The Johnston was found on a submarine expedition, and the front 2/3 of the ship were still intact, with the ship's number clearly visible. The ship was resting at 3.7 miles deep. Number 19. Mysterious metallic sound. When scientists first heard a super weird and previously unheard noise coming from deep within the Mariana Trench, well, they kind of freaked out because nerds are like that. The 3.5-second-long recording was a kind of creepy metallic noise that was captured back in 2016 by an autonomous vehicle roving in the super deep waters of the Mariana Trench. There's a low-frequency moaning that is generally associated with baleen whales, but this particular sound had not been previously heard by people. The sound has been nicknamed the Western Pacific and has been attributed to baleen whales, and it's an unusual sound. Although scientists had not heard it before, they have now managed to isolate it and determine that it was a whale call. This is not the first time a weird sound has been recorded under the sea. Other odd noises have caused all kinds of speculation over the years. Back in 1997, the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA for short, detected a high-amplitude, ultra-low frequency sound under the sea. It was so powerful that it could be heard at a range of over 3,000 miles. At the time, the source of the sound was a complete mystery to the good people at NOAA, so they named it the Bloop and began a decades-long investigation of the unexplained noise. Early on in their theorizing, they thought the sound may have been made by some kind of marine animal. Although, frankly, a sound that loud would have to have originated in a creature the size of an island, so that was a little bit alarming, to say the least. Then this fun idea was replaced with the much more boring one that they stick with today. The bloop was the result of glacial movements or a big iceberg crashing somewhere far away. But what do you imagine this mystery sound to be? Have you got any fun conspiracy theories to sling into the mix? Let me know in the comments down below. Number 18. Dumbo Octopus. These octopuses live at the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean. The deepest of any known octopus species is, in fact, 13,100 feet, meaning that these animals are adapted to live in very cold water without any sunlight at all. The rare Dumbo octopus also has some unusual behaviors to help them find a mate and successfully reproduce. When the options are limited and there are very few of the species, it's necessary to get creative, you see. Now, it is a tiny bit icky, but you'll be all right. The female Dumbo octopus basically carries a variety of eggs around in different stages of development, so whenever they meet a male they like, they stock up on sperm. You just never know when you might find another eligible bachelor 1 or more miles down in the dark, so they have the unique ability to store the sperm for long periods after mating. This means that whenever they have optimum conditions for making babies, the female Dumbo octopus can employ the stored sperm with the most suitably developed eggs, ensuring the best chance for successful reproduction. It's kind of empowering, really. Number 17. Comb jellies. These unusual creatures are comb jellies, or ctenophores. They have given scientists a special insight into the evolutionary pathway of other animals, including humans. It's weird, but this strange species is slightly related to human beings. These comb jellies help researchers study the evolution of neural development and neural pathways. They don't have a brain, but their nerve cells are connected together throughout their body like a web. And although they may look like jellyfish, they're not actually related. These two different species have taken extremely different evolutionary paths. There's a weird phenomenon happening with these comb jellies at present. Whereas climate change is causing many species trouble with survival, These creatures seem to be thriving and can cause huge blooms in some spaces. This then makes them dominant in an area where they rapidly kill off other diverse organisms. These things could soon be taking over our oceans. Number 16. Bine whale remains. When a creature dies in the sea, there's a whole enormous, natural marine-based cleanup crew on hand. Many ocean dwellers will scavenge on the carcass for days. The body of a vast baleen whale makes for a feast for thousands of other little sea creatures, and it's all rather grim, but then again, this is nature, and it is a cutthroat business to stay alive. Baleen whales are actually several different species of whale, including humpback whales, blue whales, and fin whales. They're called baleen on account of the way that they eat. They only feed through their baleen system. This is a way of taking in huge amounts of water along with their food, then sieving it all back out, keeping a hold of the prey while pushing the water back out again. They dive down to depths of about 200 meters to feed, mainly consuming krill, but these massive mammals are adaptable and will also eat other fish whenever there's a load of them available. They have a cool technique to kind of round up a school of fish. Baleen whales will swim in circles around the schooling fish, getting them to bunch up closer into a kind of easy-to-eat bundle that they can then catch in their mouth. Well, this is very interesting indeed. Let's see what's next. Now it's time for today's topic. Here we have an image that is apparently from some deep-diving submarine expedition into the far depths of the Mariana Trench. This is the deepest part of the entire ocean on the planet. It is a kind of crescent shape and is 1,580 miles long and 43 miles wide. At its maximum known depth, it's 6.8 miles deep, so there are definitely all kinds of things living down there that we have never encountered before. The submarine crew, equipped with the most advanced deep-sea technology, ventured into the pitch-black depths, only to capture something extraordinary on camera. The sonar systems detected a massive, moving object just outside the submarine's lights, raising the tension and curiosity of the scientists on board. As the object came into view, it revealed a set of towering, claw-like structures unlike anything documented in modern marine biology. The researchers speculated it could be an ancient predator from a time long forgotten, hidden away in the trench for millions of years. Could this creature be a living fossil, an undiscovered relic of a prehistoric world? But can we really say that what they captured in the Mariana Trench shocked the whole world? Probably not. This dinosaur-looking thing is not terribly convincing and seems as though there might be slightly more evidence of what it might be if it were indeed a real deep-sea survivor of the prehistoric past. But what do you think? As always, you can comment down below. Number 15. Black Sea Devil. Next up, we have a super creepy sea dweller called a black sea devil. It sounds friendly, I know, but what's the problem? Well, have a look at the thing's teeth for starters. These fish have a gelatinous, round body that is mostly free from scales, and they have a huge head with loads of very sharp, long, fong-like teeth. Some of them even have spines on their bodies, because they weren't scary-looking enough to begin with. They are a type of anglerfish, which means that they live in deep waters, mostly near the seafloor, so they're among those odd creatures that have their own source of luminescence that they use in the weird fleshy thing that angles out of the top of their heads. This thing is their lure, which they use to attract prey, like an angler with a fishing line, you see. Anglerfish are really efficient hunters. They not only have a whole bunch of extremely unpleasant sharp and pointy teeth, but they also have absolutely gargantuan mouths. The anglerfish's massive mouth extends the entire circumference of their head, and it can also be extended to such a colossal width that these scary sea dwellers can swallow prey that is twice their size. Number 14. Marine Hatchet Fish. Well, where this guy gets its name is a bit of a no-brainer now, isn't it? Obviously, the hatchet-like shaped body captured the oh-so-imaginative naming wizards at the Deep-Sea Fish Investigation Department, or wherever it is that the naming of things actually happen. It's a member of a ridiculously unpronounceable family of deep-sea dwelling fishes. There are about 45 different species within this particular gang. They vary in size from about 6 inches all the way down to a tiny 1-inch wonder, and they also have that bioluminescent ability that so many deep dwellers seem to have. They use it to create a counter-illumination that helps them escape predators by lurking in such a way as not to appear darker if they're viewed from below. It's quite clever stuff, apparently, for people in the know in the world of hatchetfish. There's also a kind of freshwater hatchetfish, and these are the sorts that people often have in their home aquariums, not these exciting deep-sea sorts with the shape of a dangerous hatchet blade. I mean, who knew? Isn't this a thrill ride of nightmare fish? We've never known such fun. Number 13. Barracuda. Now this fish does look super weird, and it seems that the deeper we look into the oceans of the world, the stranger the sea creatures become. The barracuda fish is one such oddity equipped for a starring role in a science fiction film. The barracuda has a transparent, dome-shaped head with extra-sensitive, tube-shaped eyes, which are covered by a green, liquid-filled shield. Beautiful. This adaptation helps the creature to spot prey above them, even if they're swimming in the pitch-black darkness of the very deep oceans. They also have a pair of nostrils which look like sad eyes, and a pointy snout with a small mouth. They have flat, elongated fins in order to move through the water by simply floating motionlessly, and their bodies contain a selection of luminous organs, giving the fish an otherworldly glow. Now, while the fish is no oil painting, it's hard to argue that it isn't well adapted to its deep-sea habitat. This may be one of the best-equipped fish for functioning down there, and while other deep-dwelling animals have lost their sight, the barrel-eye fish has honed its vision to work even in the gloom. This definitely gives them an edge in the food-finding and eating category, and perhaps in evading predators as well. Number 12. Snailfish. Next up, we have a creature that also goes by the name impossible fish. And no, that does not refer to it being a vegan substitute like a burger or whatever. It's impossible because, weirdly, it seems to be able to live at depths where it should never be able to survive, let alone thrive. Until they encountered the snailfish, scientists had been under the impression that fish could not live below 8,200 meters. They thought it was simply physiologically impossible. But then some researchers from Japan and Australia discovered a snailfish living at 8,336 meters in a trench, and it broke all previous records that had been held by another snailfish in the Mariana Trench. These fish are crazy looking, but then again, they generally live in the dark where nothing else exists, so what do they really care? Number 11. Dragonfish. Although the dragonfish is only about 6 inches long, it still cuts a fearsome figure in the deep, dark ocean, especially if you're a teeny-weeny creature that the dragonfish loves to call lunch. These eel-shaped predators have extremely gruesome grins. Their fong-line jaws are one of the things that make them a formidable hunter, as it allows them to eat prey almost half their own size. What's even more terrifying is that the dragonfish can expand its jaw to almost twice its normal size, ensuring nothing nearby is safe. Its body is covered in light-sensitive cells that allow it to blend perfectly into the darkness, making it almost invisible from below. This stealthy camouflage lets it sneak up on unsuspecting prey, which never see it coming until it's too late. The dragonfish even has special light-producing organs, called photophores, along its body that mimic the dim light of the ocean depths. These photophores can be used as lures to draw prey in close, creating a chilling ambush in total darkness. These nasty teeth and dead-eyed faces make the fish scary enough, but the thing that puts them into the category of nightmares is their powers of invisibility. I mean, seriously, these creatures have fangs that are almost totally transparent, which means that they blend into their surroundings, and their potential prey can hardly see those nasty big jaws as they clamp down on their heads. To add a decidedly spooky element to the dragonfish's already scary appearance, it also emits an eerie bioluminescent glow. It's a proper creep, even if it is small. Number 10. Kusk Eel. Oh, we have another contender for the deepest living fish in the whole wide world. This is the Kusk Eel, and it lives in very deep waters indeed. These bony fishes are called eels on account of their appearance, but they're actually a type of fish in the same group as tuna, perch, and seahorses. Their elongated bodies help them navigate the tight spaces of the deep-sea floor, where they often hide within crevices or burrow into soft sediment. Over the centuries, the Kusk eel has developed impressive pressure tolerance, allowing it to survive at depths where sunlight never reaches and temperatures are near freezing. They have specialized organs to detect subtle vibrations in the water, helping them locate prey even in complete darkness. Their diet mainly consists of small crustaceans and other deep-sea invertebrates, making them efficient hunters in the abyss. Some species of Kusk eel even produce faint bioluminescent glows, potentially to communicate or to attract prey in the pitch-black depths. Varieties of these fish have existed since the late Cretaceous period, and fossils of types of Kusk eel have been found from all the way back then, so they are pretty well adapted to the deep-sea living that they favor. They've been doing it for quite a long time. They live in temperate and tropical waters across the world and dwell close to the very bottom of the sea. One species of Kusk eel with an unpronounceable Latin name has apparently been recorded at the bottom of the Puerto Rico Trench, allegedly at 8,370 meters, which is bad news for the snailfish, as it beats its record again by 34 meters. Number 9. Stalked crinoids. There are two main types of crinoids that exist in the ocean. These are the ones that remain attached by a stalk to the seafloor their entire lives, often called sea lilies, and then there are those that are unstalked and are known commonly as feather stars or camacholids. Fossils of stalked crinoids have been found in many places. These show that the way in which the crinoid attaches to the seafloor is through the use of stalks or stems, which are known as cirri. These are the base of the feeding system that employs a kind of arm, and these arms have grooves in them that capture food particles, which are then suspended in the water and directed back toward the mouth of the feeding system. Most modern-day crinoids are actually free-floating or feather star types. They may have a stem as juveniles but no longer use it when they're fully grown adults. The movement of these things is generally accounted for by the changes in the direction of the current, but they can actually move themselves to a new location using their dangly bits. This means they are able to move to different places or even climb to an elevated area in order to feed. These weird-looking things can also swim by moving their feeding arms into 3 groups, allowing them to move at a rate of up to 472 to 591 feet per hour, which is kind of crazy for such a small plant-looking creature with no discernible head and no obvious swimming equipment. Fossils of crinoids have been discovered that date back to 480 million years ago, and it seems that some of these fossilized versions may have survived by attaching themselves to driftwood, often in colonies. Modern-day crinoids live attached to rocks in the gentle currents of the ocean. Well, that's all from the spooky and mysterious depths of the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean. It was a blast, I'm sure. Number 8. Ping-pong tree sponge. The deep sea is certainly full of a lot of creepy and weird-looking fish, spooky old shipwrecks, and very dark and mysterious places. But did you know there are even scary trees down there? Well, me neither, but apparently there are. This is the ping-pong tree sponge, so-called because it basically looks like a tree that's covered in ping-pong balls. That sounds fairly innocuous, but it really isn't. Despite its innocent appearance, the ping-pong tree sponge is a stealthy predator of the deep. Its tiny hook-like spicules aren't just for trapping prey. They're designed to pierce through the delicate bodies of small sea creatures. Once caught, these creatures are helplessly stuck, slowly becoming dinner as the sponge's cells start breaking down their tissues. Remarkably, the sponge has evolved to thrive in the nutrient-poor environment of the deep sea by catching and digesting small animals for sustenance. This process can take days, as the sponge digests each tiny piece of its prey with eerie patience. The tree itself reaches about 20 inches in height, and most of it is in its thin stalk. Then, at the top, there's a bunch of weird globules or ping-pong-like balls that grow out in every direction. They may look kind of delicate and a little bit trippy, but these things are actually deadly. They are covered in tiny things called spicules, shaped like hooks, which trap any tiny creature that even brushes up against them. In general, the sponges will slowly digest their prey molecule by molecule. What a horror show. Number 7. The supergiant amphipod. Would you just look at the size of these things? There's nothing quite like a massive crustacean to give your nightmares some new depth of flavor. While investigating a deep-sea trench, some marine scientists got their own bad dreams enhanced when they sent traps down to the deepest depths to sample what was happening down there. They had previously only seen the sort of feeble relations of these giant amphipods, and certainly were not used to the monstrous scale of the sea creatures they found. In fact, these big boys and girls are more than 20 times bigger than their regular old relative. The scientists were so taken aback by the presence of these weird creatures that they simply could not fathom what on earth they were doing in that particular place. But that's the thing now, isn't it? That's essentially what makes all of these sea creatures just a bit more terrifying. We know so very little about them, even down to where we might find them. The world is covered with water, and yet what lies beneath most of it is still all but a mystery to us land-loving humans. Puts you off paddling a little bit now, doesn't it? Number 6. Goblin Shark. The deep-sea-dwelling goblin shark is like a nightmare combination of frightening alien face and squashed dinosaur shark. It's actually rather horrific. However, I shouldn't judge something on its appearance. I know that's not fair, but are these guys as scary as they look? Well, let's find out. Unlike many other sharks, the goblin shark's pinkish skin adds to its creepy appearance, almost as if it's still covered in raw flesh. This odd color comes from visible blood vessels beneath its translucent skin, giving it a ghostly glow. When swimming in the dark depths of the ocean, this pink hue almost makes it look like a creature from a horror movie. Adding to its strangeness, the goblin shark's jaw can extend nearly the entire length of its snout, allowing it to catch prey from surprising distances. And if that wasn't enough, it has electrosensitive organs that can detect the slightest movements of creatures around it, making escape almost impossible for smaller fish. With a long snout on the top and a set of very sharp teeth on the bottom, this shark seems equipped enough to do some predatory stuff. It has a weird technique for catching its prey. The goblin shark can eject its jaws, and then send out a dangerous snapping motion to grab a passing prey, reeling its jaws back in to gobble up the catch. Oh spooky! This long-nosed shark is actually, and mercifully, much lazier than many of the other sharks. Its sluggish behavior means that it's not likely to expend a whole lot of energy in a high-speed pursuit, and given one look at this freaky fish, no doubt you'd be able to outswim it just based on fear alone. Woo! I'm glad that one's finished. These guys give me the creeps. Number 5. Gigantic Amibas. Back in 2011, scientists discovered some super creepy gigantic amoebas in the depths of the Mariana Trench. In a voyage to the trench in the Pacific Ocean, the researchers had used all kinds of new technology to explore these previously unrecorded areas of the deep sea. They found the deepest known xenophyophores, or single-cell organisms, which we usually call amoebas. These were unusual compared to other amoebas because they were so very large. Some of the specimens were as big as 4 inches or more, and that is for a single cell. Since these organisms have only one cell, scientists have declared that these are the largest individual cells that exist anywhere, at least that they know of for now. They were found at depths as far down below the surface as 6.6 miles within the Serena Trench, part of the Mariana Trench. Prior to this discovery, they had only been found as far down as 4.7 miles. There is still so much down in the trench that remains unknown and completely mysterious, but what may they discover next? Number 4. Zombie worms. Zombie worms are a type of deep-sea creature known for their taste for bones. That's right, these weird wigglers are all about eating the bones of dead things. Although they don't have mouths or stomachs like most creatures, they rely on a special relationship with symbiotic bacteria that helps them digest nutrients from the bones. Their bodies secrete an acid that helps dissolve the bone, allowing them to suck out the fats stored inside. These worms don't just feed on whale bones. They've also been found feasting on the skeletons of large fish and even seabirds. Interestingly, the female worms grow significantly larger than males, who are often found in clusters on her body, depending on her for survival. This helps ensure there's a constant supply of offspring ready to infest the next bone they encounter. They live deep below the surface and have been found at depths of 2,893 meters, where they can find the carcasses of dead whales, whose bones they just love to devour. These worms use their unique physiology to bore into the bone and reach the lipids inside. They feed on the collagen of the bones, making holes throughout the skeletal structure and using these holes to hide from potential predators, which also feed on the enormous carcass of a whale. Number 3. Vampire squid. The vampire squid, despite its name, is apparently neither a squid nor an octopus. Presumably, it's not even actually a vampire, but we should probably just make sure. The vampire squid is a kind of small cephalopod, living in tropical and temperate waters around the world at depths of between 2,000 and 3,000 feet at temperatures of about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. Ooh, that's cold. That's between 35.5 and 37.5 degrees Fahrenheit. These unique animals are completely different from other species and are regrettably considered to be endangered on account of the pollution and destruction of their habitats. So you can probably see why they're called vampire squid. They're black or red in color and have weird webbed skin that has the appearance of a vampire cape. They also have some extremely spooky red eyes. However, they don't change their body color or release ink when threatened like other squids do. Instead, they eject a glowing, sticky mucus that acts in a similar way and confuses would-be predators. It doesn't seem as though they go around sucking blood, though, and they're not plagued by that pesky affliction of immortality. Number 2. Frilled shark. The so-called living fossil is a scary, well, actually, it's downright terrifying ancient species of shark that, although rare, is still out there menacing people from time to time with its intensely intimidating appearance and sharkish habits. Although there are apparently a few of these sharks still out there, sightings are so incredibly rare that one has only been captured alive in living memory. On one occasion, this particular specimen was pulled from the water near lake's entrance in Victoria, Australia, by a group of rather surprised fishermen. It was such an unusual occurrence that the story made the headlines and captured imaginations all over the world. This super strange shark dates back to at least 80 million years ago, so the thing has been kicking around in our waters for so long it's no wonder that it's known as a frilled shark. The name frilled shark is on account of the big old fish's 6 pairs of frilly gills. It does look a bit like it's sporting some Elizabethan ruff, but with a toothier edge than most of those old stuffy portraits would have. Number 1. The telescope octopus. This is the telescope octopus, a weird type of deep-sea octopus that is found between 150 and 2,000 meters below the surface in tropical and subtropical waters in the Indo-Pacific region. Living in such pitch-dark, crushing depths, they've evolved unique features to survive. For instance, they often glide with their arms spread out like an umbrella, allowing them to move stealthily without much movement. To escape danger, they can alter their body shape, becoming long and thin to quickly dart away. Their skin, nearly as delicate as glass, also has a bioluminescent glow, which helps them camouflage in the faint light at these depths. Unlike many other octopus species, the telescope octopus doesn't use ink to defend itself. Instead, It relies on its near invisibility to avoid detection. These creatures generally grow to about 8 inches in length and are so see-through that they're almost invisible, much like their relatives, the glass octopus. These deep-sea creatures have transparent and gelatinous flesh that makes almost no shadow, which may alert a predator to their presence. They can make almost their entire body invisible except for their eyes and their digestive gland. Their eyes are really weird, too. They're on stalks that make them literally pop right out of their heads. These octopuses can then make themselves basically invisible and just poke their own eyes out to see all around them, hence the name, telescope octopus. Which of these eerie sights will linger in your nightmares? Can you ever erase the image of the goblin shark from your mind? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the other cool content appearing on your screen. See you next time.